Nike is bringing back some former names and creators to the brand to try to drive up hype. Will it actually matter? And what does it mean for the future? We'll talk about it this time on Fire Footwear. Welcome back to Fire Footwear, everybody. As always, I'm your host, Matt Freites, and today we're going to talk about the return of some familiar names and faces to the brand Nike. Nike recently made news with the changeover of their CEO, and we talked about that in a previous video. Elliott Hill takes over, and the perception is that Nike wants to be cool again. And so how do they do that? Well, they're obviously going to focus on sneaker culture, and there are three things that I want to hone in on that have recently made the news, two of which are confirmed, one of which is rumor and speculation. The first is the return of famed designer Frank Cooke back to the brand. This is a name that you should know because I think during the height of Nike and Jordan brand's popularity over the last 10 years, this man was responsible for some of the most fire colorways and inspirations out there. He's a creative that has delivered for Nike and Jordan brand, and they're hoping that he can again. This is something that I think is a positive. I think we need to get back to inspiration. We need to get back to feeling like the colorways that we're receiving for the higher prices that we're paying, it feels worthy to us. It feels worthy of the hard-earned money that we are spending. And I think Nike is moving in the direction of seeming like they want to go back to its roots and back to a time when they were giving us hit after hit after hit, at least perceived hit. Resale prices were highest during that period of time. But honestly, you can't deny that they were giving us a lot of great things. Another piece of news that hit was the return of Tom Sachs to Nike. And on top of that, that there is going to be a Mars Yard 3.0. Tom Sachs is an interesting look because of the allegations that happened in 2023. He's an artist, and he's definitely an unstable genius if you really think about it. Now, the accusations weren't anything criminal. He did not go to jail, but I think he was publicly tarnished. And the question remains for you personally is, can you separate the art from the artist? I'm not here to figure that out for you. What we're doing here is talking about the return of Tom Sachs to Nike. Undeniably, Tom Sachs had one of the most popular shoes of all time. If you think about the Mars Yard and the Mars Yard 2.0, you can even throw the general purpose shoe in there if you want. All of those were hits. The Mars Yard is one of the most famed shoes of all time, and it's one of the most expensive shoes on the resale market. Tom Sachs obviously does great work. He has a vision for what works for sneaker culture somehow. And yet now we're faced with the idea that he is going to be back with the brand. We're going to get a new release, a new iteration of the Mars Yard. And I have to say, hype is at an all-time high. Although people are kind of struggling with the moral dilemma that comes with Tom Sachs, I think in the end, Nike is looking again to raise their profile. And they're looking to raise their profile with people like me, people like you, and people in the sneaker community. My guess is that the Mars Yard 3.0 was already in production when the allegations hit, and they just had to put it on pause. And now they're coming back. They feel like enough time has passed, and they're going to make this happen. This doesn't seem like a Kanye situation to me, but I think it's the closest thing that Nike has had to deal with in the last 10 years or so. The last thing I want to talk about is a rumor, and it has to do with James Whitner and the Whitner Group.
He bends over and he speaks from his rear.
Or him.
Something that's not a rumor about the Whitner Group is all of the allegations and the federal investigation into the backdooring scheme with China. But the whole point is that the perception was that James Whitner and the Whitner Group were backdooring pairs of shoes. Backdooring is something, in my opinion, that you just charge to the game. You charge it to the culture. It's something that happens. But here's the thing about backdooring. It has a negative connotation. It leaves a bad taste in sneakerheads' mouth. And the rumor, which has not been confirmed at the time of this video, is that there is going to be a large collaboration between James Whitner and the Whitner Group and Adidas. This is causing a lot of questions. What about A Ma Maniére? What about the Cold Wall Jordan 3 that we saw him wearing during an interview? There's a ton of damage control happening with James Whitner, and I think Nike in some ways is trying to distance itself from the name Whitner Group. I think A Ma Maniére is safe. I did a video and an audio podcast about how I think they're the new flagship designer. So I don't think that they're going to go away from that partnership. It seems pretty solid. But I do wonder if Nike, in trying to up their profile, is trying to get away from anything negative. And backdooring certainly is negative from a sneakerhead perspective. All three of those things tie together in some way. All three of those names bring with them signs of what Nike is looking to do. Between changing over its CEO, bringing back familiar faces that are going to drive up hype, and also possibly distancing themselves from concepts that maybe sneakerheads and the sneaker community see as negative, Nike has a plan. I don't think that it's fully fleshed out, and I think it's going to take some time to see what it looks like for us as a community, but Nike certainly has a plan. How do you feel about all the announcements that have been made? How do you feel about Frank Cooke? How do you feel about Tom Sachs? And what do you think about the Whitner Group possibly doing a collaboration, a huge collaboration with Adidas? Let me know down in the comments. Of course, you can call the Fire Footwear hotline, area code 202-643-9170. I'd love to hear from you. Hope this finds everybody well and safe, and I'll talk to you in the next video. This is Fire Footwear.